They say courtrooms are quiet places, but that's only half the truth. They're silent the way a coiled spring is silent, tense, charged, waiting to snap. I've worked in this building 17 years, transcribing everything from tax fraud to murder. But today felt wrong. From the second I cleared security, the air had that heaviness, the kind you feel before something awful happens. I was in my seat, fingers flexed over the keys, when the defendant was brought in. I didn't look, up at habit. You don't engage, you just record. But I felt the shift. The jurors sat straighter. The press leaned forward, pens uncapped. So I glanced up. Sean Combs, or Diddy, as even the court insists on calling him, looked nothing like he did months ago. He used to glide in with the confidence of a man the world revolved around, but not today. Today he looked brittle, hollow. His suit hung off him. His skin had that pale, waxy look you get under fluorescent light after a long illness. He didn't sit. He folded, like gravity doubled just for him. 9:42 a.m. Defendant Combs seated. I logged it. His hands twitched. Not nervous, more like he was gripping something invisible. His lawyers, usually whispering last-minute strategy, didn't speak. One flipped a notepad without reading. Another just stared at the wall, blinking. Judge Dutch Subramanian came in at 9:47. He's always on time, always methodical. The jury was seated, and formalities began. The oath, the instructions. His voice is calm and surgical. Most judges aim for wisdom. He aims for efficiency. But just as he began his opening remarks, I saw it. Diddy leaned over to whisper to his lawyer. He's done that before. But this time, the man didn't nod or jot notes. He froze, then stood. "Your Honor," he said. "The defendant requests a brief recess." Subramanian didn't look up immediately. "On what grounds?" Already annoyed. The lawyer hesitated, looked at Diddy. Diddy looked back, wide-eyed, pale. He stood, shaky. "I'm sorry, Your Honor," he said, voice hoarse. I'm a little nervous today." And that silenced everything. A man like him? Nervous? This is someone who stood before millions. But his voice, it was hollow, empty. The judge blinked, a rare thing, then tapped the podium. 5 minutes, one of you escort him. 10:11 a.m., recess granted. Defendant excused to private lavatory with guard. I typed it without thinking, but it felt wrong. He could have gone before proceedings started, before every eye in the room was locked on him. Instead, he waited for the spotlight. He left, through the hallway beside the bench, a uniformed guard trailing. The door swung shut. The judge told jurors to stay seated. He didn't move from the bench. The room didn't resume. Not really. Jurors whispered. One woman leaned over, tight curls, sharp tone. "Is it true he collapsed during the bail hearing?" "Panic attack," the man beside her whispered. "Or he threw a chair. Depends who you ask." Rumors swirl. You learn to ignore. Most. But some cling like static. 10:16 a.m., still no return. The judge shifted. The silence had gone stale. More minutes ticked by. A clerk whispered something, waved off. The gallery rustled. You could feel the hush creeping back in. 10:17. I'm defendant not returned. Recess extended. Awaiting judge's directive. I tapped it in. Routine, but my hands were slow. Then a guard slipped in. Headed to the bench. Whispered low. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw the judge's face, set like wet cement. "No." "Movement?" Subramanian asked. "None." No response. The guard shook his head. Then came that look. The kind that's not meant for the room. It wasn't worry. It was procedure. 10:21 a.m., courtroom secured, awaiting confirmation. No alarms, no lockdown klaxon. Just bailiffs, quiet, hands near belts. One clerk stopped typing. Even the lights buzzed louder. Still no Diddy. I've seen defendants fake collapses, panic attacks, dramatic delays. But not like this. He looked gone before he even left. I remembered something a reporter whispered. Last week, near the printer, low. "You think they'll show the footage from 2016? "The one with the hallway? And the screaming?" Her partner replied. "They'll have to, unless they want the judge to look weak. Footage, hallways. Screaming, and now, silence. 10:24 a.m. Still nothing. The judge stood, didn't say a word. Walked out through the same hallway, flanked by 2 marshals. One had already unhooked a flashlight. That's when I noticed the woman in the back of the jury box. She clutched, her purse tighter. Not afraid, but alert. Like she was waiting for someone else to come through that door. That stuck with me. The next few minutes crawled. You could hear everything. Shoes squeaking, a faint voice past the wall. A flicker of feedback through the PA before someone killed it. I didn't type for a while. Just watched the door. 10:31 a.m. Defendant remains unaccounted for. Presiding judge and marshals dispatched. No one told me to log that, but it felt necessary. Because whatever happened after 10:11, it wasn't a panic attack. It felt like a choice. Chapter 2. 5 minutes too long. I wasn't even supposed to be assigned to this trial. When I got the courthouse post 6 months ago, I figured I'd be working metal detectors or breaking up hallway arguments. I wasn't trained for federal-level profiles, not someone like him. But the guy ahead of me got pulled last minute for a family emergency. Suddenly, I was in charge of courtroom security. The morning Sean Combs vanished. We got the alert at 10:17. One of my team, stationed outside holding corridor 2, buzzed in. Supervisor, defendant Combs hasn't exited. No response inside lavatory. 10 minutes elapsed. 10 minutes. That's not unusual. It's unacceptable. I was seated in the level 3 surveillance bay, tucked behind the west elevator shaft. Monitors hummed all around. Vertical screens, floor feeds, heat maps, door logs. When the call came in, I was sipping black coffee, watching a parking garage dispute unfold. I keyed the radio. Guard 102, confirm. Defendant entered restroom alone? Affirmative. Escort posted outside entire time. Entered solo at 10:12. No sounds. Knocked. No answer. My skin went cold. We have a protocol. High-profile defendants, especially ones under federal protection, use a specific lavatory on floor 2. One hallway. No other exits. No side doors. One way in. One way out. Guard on one end. Camera on the other. The system doesn't fail. I turned toward the primary monitor and pulled up the feed for corridor 2. I pulled up the restroom hallway feed. It took a moment to scrub through, but I found the timestamp, 10:11:08. Combs entered the hallway. His escort remained outside. The corridor was clean, lights steady, footage clear. I watched the playback at 2x speed. Nothing changed. But at 10:13:02, something glitched. Not a blackout, more like a compression anomaly. You see them sometimes when the system lags. But this wasn't lag. It wasn't just one skipped frame. It was a full minute of warped, melting distortion. The hallway bent at the edges, like the walls were being pulled inward. Combs never exited. The guard didn't move. But something in the footage was wrong. Then, at 10:14:01, it snapped back. No motion. I hit pause. From my desk, I could hear the emergency unit gathering near the elevators. The deputy U.S. Marshal had been briefed. So had the judge. They were en route to the hallway. I replayed the clip frame by frame. That glitch, it wasn't random noise, it had structure. Some pixels moved in circular coordination. And right at the center, a shimmer. Not a flare. Not a reflection. Something else. Open the door, I radioed. Officer Levins responded promptly. Yes, ma'am. He had to use the override key. That door had both an electronic badge scanner and a manual bolt. The bolt shouldn't have been latched. Combs had already entered, but Levins hit resistance. The bolt was manually locked. That shouldn't have been possible. At 10:25 AIE, the door swung open. The radio crackled. No one's in here. I stood, knee banging the desk. Repeat? It's empty. Stall doors open. Sinks dry. No defendant. Silence. Another voice. A marshal. Check the ceiling tiles. Crawl spaces. Vents. They were already doing that. I pulled the internal blueprints. That restroom had no vent access. No hatch. No back exit. A sealed box. Hallway footage confirmed it. Combs entered. Never left. I reviewed the clip again. Still nothing. Guards stood still. No movement. No tampering. No possible window for a switch. The courthouse was in silent lockdown. No media alert. Just locked doors, break room confinement, delayed proceedings. I opened the archive blueprints, files from before the 2008 remodel. I was hunting for inconsistencies, maybe a covered storage space. That's when I remembered. A joke from pre-trial briefings. An old marshal mentioned the ghost wing. Back during reconstruction, they found sealed access to a subfloor. No records, no use. Just walls labeled no entry in 3 languages. Everyone laughed. I didn't. I flagged the floor plans and scanned every corner near the restroom. There, barely visible under heavy renovations, a gray box. Label: Access E5, retired. No corridor, no modern tags. But it sat directly under the restroom hall. I exhaled and keyed the intercom. Marshal, request inspection of sublevel coordinates. Legacy point E5. Possible breach beneath defendant area. The reply: understood. I watched two officers peel off toward the lower stairwell. One grabbed a crowbar. Meanwhile, the hallway cam kept running. That glitch, it bothered me. Too perfect. System glitches happen. Power burps, outdated firmware, interference. But this wasn't noise. This was camouflage. By 10:32, the hall was crawling. Techs with scanners, marshals with comms. No combs, no judge. I called the U.S. Marshals, security liaison. Said just one thing: get someone to the server room. No one touches that drive. She didn't ask why, just said, on it. I sat, pulse hammering, palms slick. This wasn't a medical crisis. This wasn't a celebi. Ducking headlines. This was precision. Controlled. Silent. And it happened under our noses. I stared at the screen again. The shimmer at 10:13:02. I paused and zoomed. Blurry. Distorted. But for one frame, something reflected on the tile. Not Combs. Not the guard. A third shape. Warped. Thin. Not solid. Gone the next frame. But it had been there. And whatever it was, it hadn't come through security. Chapter 3. Containment order. They called me in at 900 sharp. Standard assignment. Courtroom security. Trial protocols. Red zone checklist. I'd done high-profile trials before, but never one like this. This one was silent. No known threat matrix. No typical ingress-egress drills. Just a patched-together operation running under a veil. The first hours were clean. I was posted in the secure command room 2 floors up, watching surveillance feeds, tracking staff, monitoring radio chatter from the perimeter units. We'd swept the place 3 times the night before. Dogs, fiber cams, heartbeat sensors. All SOP. Then, at 10:17, a call crackled on Channel 6. Defendant has not exited lavatory. Guard reports 0 contact, no sound. I didn't blink. Code Amber. In federal courthouses, Code Amber doesn't mean evacuate. It means freeze. Quiet lockdown. No alerts. No panic. I lifted the red panel and triggered it. Doors sealed. Elevators frozen. Phones confiscated. Plumbing issue. That's the cover. We use it for things we can't explain. Within 4 minutes, all floors reported in. Everyone was accounted for, except Combs. I keyed the intercom. All marshals and security, report to holding corridor 2, coordinated sweep. Priority, code level 2, not a drill. Martinez, my second, rushed in, flipping through old blueprint files. We keep them for emergencies, fires, quakes, bombs. Old courthouses always have buried secrets. I've worked 6. There's always something left behind. Sir, Martinez said, take a look. He slid over a dusty blueprint, dated February 2002, post 9/11 rebuild. Most staff forgot about that phase. On the right margin, just south of the lavatory, was a shadow corridor. Gray lines, no label, no digital match. He tapped it. There's your ghost. It snaked west toward a freight shaft, inactive since 2014, then hooked sharply down. One word. Archive B. No modern record. Let's move, I told him. I keyed in. All units, sweep in pairs, sublevel A. Flashlight only. No photos, no comms. You find something? You flag it. Don't touch it. We descended the freight ladder. Elevator shaft was sealed. Dust coated everything. Soundless. The deeper we went, the colder it got. Not HVAC cold. Subterranean cold. At sublevel A, we hit the corridor immediately. Looked like any old maintenance hallway. Concrete, pipes, humming bulbs. But halfway down I noticed it. Silence. Courthouses always hum. Vents, power lines, even whispers. But this? Nothing. Until I heard it. A few notes, a faint beat, muffled, 3 walls thick, then a bass line. Classic mid-90s. Soul sample. Maybe Tribe Called Quest. Or vintage Bad Boy. Familiar. Too familiar. Rookie Dunbar whispered behind me. You hearing that too? Or did I skip breakfast again? I nodded. You're hearing it? The hallway widened into an old break area. abandoned decades ago. Coffee machine from 2002, rusted fridge, metal table. With one broken leg but tucked into the back wall was a reinforced door, old federal steel. Faded paint once. Red authorized only, now barely visible under dust and time. It was slightly ajar. I gave the nod. 2 of us went in first, weapons drawn. No lights, pitch black. My boots crunched glass, maybe a busted fixture, maybe a thermoplastic panel. Then the scent hit. Not strong, just faint. The kind of detail you only clock if you're trained. Cologne, modern, expensive. Citrus layered with musk. Not janitor supplies. Not air freshener. Something worn. Martinez swept his light across the floor. That's when we saw it. A single cufflink, gold-trimmed, torn loose like it had been yanked off mid-struggle. I picked it up with my gloved hand and saw the engraving on the back. Sean Combs. I didn't speak. Just held it up. Martinez nodded. I dropped it into an evidence bag. No body. No distress. No drag marks. Just that scent. And the music, still humming, buried somewhere beyond the walls. We searched the entire subfloor. It was small. 2 long corridors, a power room with a locked panel, and 1 sealed archive chamber we couldn't access without a torch. I radioed back to command. Contact the judge. Immediate briefing required. Inform him we've got unauthorized access to sublevel A1. 1 personal item confirmed. Potential breach in evidence integrity. The reply was fast. Marshal, judge says report directly to chambers. Bring what you've got. 1 more thing. The judge says, and I quote, whatever you find, bring it to me. Not the press. I stood there in the dark a moment longer. The music had stopped, but the silence that followed wasn't natural. It listened. It wasn't supposed to go like this. 11 years of scrubbing tile, fixing leaks, hauling chemical drums no one else wanted to touch, and they still showed me the door. Like I was just some temp from a placement agency. No severance, no thanks. Just a folded envelope shoved into my palm and a final warning. You're not to return after Friday. That was 3 weeks ago. They said it was budget cuts. Said the Diddy trial brought in specialized security. Said maintenance needed to be streamlined. But I'd seen the memos. It wasn't about money. It was about secrets. About who they didn't want wandering the wrong halls when the wrong men in clean suits showed up. But my tools, industrial grade, were still locked up in the subroom on B2, paid out of my own damn pocket. I wasn't leaving them. So I came back. Sunday morning. Skeleton crew. Still had my contractor badge. Didn't look deactivated. Security was lighter than usual. Most figured the building was locked down after that bathroom incident with Combs. I knew better. Buildings like this, they never really close. I slipped in through the west dock behind the trash compactor. An old loading corridor long sealed from public access. My badge still pinged green. Maglock clicked open like always. Same smell too. Wet concrete and mop water. God, I hated that smell. The elevator didn't go to B2 anymore. Not unless you had a service key. But I knew the other way. The maintenance ladder behind utility hall. Used to sneak down there for a smoke when they banned rooftop access. 10 minutes descending. The deeper I got, the colder the metal rungs felt. My breath started fogging. B2 was quiet. Too quiet. Not in the peaceful sleeping building way. In the you're not supposed to be here way. Lights flickering. Some dead. Others buzzing with that insect hum. I walked toward my old locker. Boots echoing like I was in a silo. Water stains climbed, the walls in dark lines. A busted pipe had soaked the ceiling near the breaker panel. Typical. Then I heard it. A voice. Not loud, but enough to make me stop breathing. Echoing up from somewhere beneath this floor. That was impossible. There weren't any ducts below B2. Not on the blueprints. I left the locker untouched. Followed the sound. Past door, F3. I remembered that one. My last week, they told me not to clean behind it. Decommissioned. Hazardous mold. But I'd glanced through its window. No mold. Wiring. Fresh. Cables stapled into the brick. Black boxes with no labels. And a door. In the floor. Today, the padlock was gone. I hesitated. I shouldn't have touched it. But curiosity is louder than fear when you've got nothing left to lose. The handle turned easy. Hinges groaned, but not loud enough to echo. A metal stairwell. Tight. Spiraling. Not up to code. Dark. No lights. Just a low pulse from the bottom, like a dying flashlight. I stepped down slowly. One hand on the rail, one on my pen light. The air changed with each step. Colder. Wetter, not musty like old basements. Sterile, bleached, like a hospital left to rot. At the bottom I found it. A room. Not on any blueprint I'd ever seen. Old brick walls, some lined with reflective insulation, others caked in grime. A cot in the corner, thin mattress, rumpled blanket, fast food wrappers, bottles of water, an open duffel with t-shirts and prescription bottles, most unmarked. One label still intact, lorazepam, high dosage. My flashlight caught the edge of a metal folding chair, a tray beside it, 4 burner phones, all cracked or powered down, a stack of old Vibe magazines under the cot. Then my stomach flipped. A manila folder, thick, bound in a black rubber band. I opened it. Photocopied court docs, media clippings, security stills, names typed at the top of each page. Cassie Ventura. Aubrey L. Jason R., unnamed victim, 049. Dates, allegations, case numbers, some real, some I didn't recognize. Margins filled with handwritten notes in all caps, arrows pointing to phrases like exposure risk and sealed at judge's request. One note read, "If they leak, it folds, all of it folds." Next page. A grainy airport photo. A man who looked like Sorkidan speaking to someone in a clerical collar. Faces turned away. Behind them, rows of identical briefcases. I didn't want to read more. I set the folder on the cot. Then I saw the suit jacket, hanging neat on the wall, dark fabric, silk trim, lining stitched in gold thread, initials, SC. But it wasn't the jacket that scared me. It was the stain down one sleeve, dark, crusted, blood. Then I saw it. A camera, mounted on crates, pointed at the far wall. Still blinking, still recording. And on the wall, dozens of symbols, red marker, circles, triangles, intersecting lines, some numbered, 37, 41, 4N, one phrase dead center, "I ain't hiding, I'm recording." I turned off my light. The glow didn't vanish. It was coming from the camera now. A low whir behind it, something spinning. I backed out slowly, careful not to make a sound. But before I climbed the stairs, I turned one last time. The cot was empty, but the blanket was still warm. The lights blinked in rhythm, like breathing. That room always made my skin crawl. No windows, no sound but fans. You start hearing yourself think in there. That's not always good. The marshal told me, start at 10 a.m. on the 5th. Look for anomalies. That's what they always say when they don't want to admit something's missing. I pulled the feed, Hall B restroom corridor. Standard 72-hour loop, extended, only on manual trigger or card swipe. But someone had already copied it. Folder labeled CMBB Event 515, tagged Do Not Alter. Judge's direct order. Fine. I opened the master timecode. It felt off. Not corrupted. No voltage loss, no compression errors. Too clean. Every 7 minutes to the second, one frame skipped. At 13 seconds past the hour. I ran the footage at false 10 to 13:12 to 10:13:14. One frame missing, like time flinched. No sensor fault. I checked the raw binary logs. No glitch. This was a directive. System told to skip one frame every 7 minutes, starting 6:13 a.m. the day before. Buried in firmware. Manual implant. Old. I traced it, present for 2 months across security reels tied to Hall B, Courtroom 2, and the judge's private chambers. Only high-profile cases. This wasn't sabotage. It was infrastructure. I rewatched the May 5th footage. High contrast. Zoom to frame 10:13:08. Advanced frame by frame until 10:13:12. 9:98. Then freeze. In the mirror on the lab door, a reflection. Not the guard, not Diddy either. Same black suit, same posture, but taller. No ring. Diddy always wore a custom platinum ring. This man didn't. His face was obscured, but he smirked. The kind of smirk you don't wear if you're nervous. And then, he looked directly into the lens. The feed skipped. Hall empty. I backed away. This wasn't a disappearance. It was a switch. 1 second of silence. One beat pulled from time. I ran metadata. Timestamps showed UID 13 loop active. That UID wasn't courthouse issued. It came from a blacklisted vendor. Same company caught tampering with sealed trafficking evidence in 2017, supposedly dissolved. I typed a note for the judge. The loop is not a glitch. It's a trigger. Then I deleted it. Some truths get you. Disappeared. I saved the reflection frame to a restricted sex drive. No cloud. No trace. Shut down the terminal. As I left, one monitor flickered. Just once. And in that flicker, the man in the mirror was back, watching. I whispered to myself, barely above the fan's hum. I don't think Diddy ever left that cell. I think someone else came back. Chapter 8. The Return File. Weeks passed. No trial, no statement. Just a sterile email. Defendant Sean Combs deemed mentally unfit. Trial delayed indefinitely. No location, no footage, no photos. Whispers filled the federal halls. Rumors. He was locked in a facility with no address. His cell had no mirror. The wellness officer sent to check on him. Resigned, crying. I work public records. 5th Street, 3 blocks from the courthouse. Gray tiles, locked drawers. I've been there 7 years. Long enough to know the scent of something meant to stay. Buried. The package arrived. Brown paper. Hand-delivered. No postage. Just a slip. Return file. Authorized distribution pending. At first I thought it was misfiled. But inside, paper stock I'd never seen. First page. Trial continuation. Private session notes. Stamped restricted. Handwritten. Different. Jurisdiction. Don't file with state. Type testimonies. Code names only. Witness 7, Subject E, Victim C. All reference the case, but described around it. Not what Diddy did, but what happened near him. One spoke of a penthouse with no windows, chandeliers humming like microwaves. Another, of bass, thumping under the floor like a velvet heartbeat. They all mentioned one room, the quiet one. Sketches, 4 velvet chairs in a circular room. No exits, mirrors with no reflections. Next page, a note, ink smeared by water. I bought silence in platinum. Someone paid in blood. Find the room. You'll know me by the music. Signed, CV. Ceci. Her name had been wiped from records after the leaked footage. She vanished. No suits, no statements. Just gone. I searched the envelope again. Found a small black USB taped inside. No label, just blade. That night, alone, I locked my door and slid the USB into the terminal. One file. Autoplay. No video. Just black. Then a voice. Diddy's. Calm. Confident. Colder. Don't worry, Judge. A pause. Then soft footsteps. Dripping. I'm just in the other room. That line. I'd heard it before. Years ago. A sealed trafficking deposition. Different name. Same phrase. The important ones, the witness said, don't disappear. They move into other rooms. Because he wasn't the story. He was the screen. And behind him was something older. Built into chords and contracts, walls and silence. Into missing seconds. Into names that never make the transcript. I resealed the file. Logged it as a misrouted transfer. Returned the envelope to the locked cabinet. I told no one. Because by the time truths arrive like this, they've already been rewritten. Outside my window, a car idled. Music low. Familiar. Velvet in its bones.